All right, we are live on YouTube.
All right. Welcome into Blue Collar Sports. Once again, it's been a long time, obviously. Unfortunately, as we are now states away from each other, as despite the full California background you see behind Trevor and the full Utah background you see behind me, I'm still in Boise. Trevor's down in Arizona, but still going to have a great show for you guys today. Glad to be back. It's been too long.
Yeah, welcome to Blue Collar Sports. We're live on YouTube. If you joined us before, thank you for being a part of us. Hopefully you're from the beginning days in Boise, Idaho, where we had our radio show once, twice, 3 times a week. We love doing it, but we got to continue, even though we're not the same state, like Seth said. And this is the best way to do it for us on Zoom, live on YouTube. So thanks for making us part of your day. Blue Collar Sports is back, and NFL starts tomorrow, Steph. I can't believe it. It's been a crazy year, and it's still getting through it. But we're gonna have live football now tomorrow. It's pretty crazy to think about it.
As bad as 2020's been, and it's been a historically horrible year. Obviously, everyone knows that. I can't remember a time in my life when I could say we got playoff basketball, the end of the MLB, and the start of football going on at the same time. So for sports fans, life isn't too bad right now. It could be a lot worse for as bad as 2020's been. We are going to have 3 live sports. Like you said, NFL kicks off tomorrow. The defending Super Bowl champions, Chiefs, kick it off against Deshaun Watson and the Texans. And so that's going to be the theme of today's show. We're talking NFL.
Absolutely. I'm so excited. Like you said, this is the first time ever that we've had like every single major sport be playing at the same time.
Yeah.
We got playoff basketball, playoff hockey. We got the MLB. Soccer.
The Masters in a month.
Masters is coming up. We got tennis
right now.
It's open. And now we got football. We got college football, sort of. We don't really know. Still trying to figure that out. But at least we got the NFL kicking off tomorrow, like you said, with defending champion Chiefs hosting the Houston Texans. What a show. Deshaun Watson just got paid as well. But, of course, he's going up against a $500 million man, Patrick Mahomes. I'm ready for a fireworks show. This is what the world needs tomorrow night. It's going to be fantastic.
And I want to ask you, I was actually talking to a buddy about this today, and I wanted to bring it up on today's show. Is the style of play with at least for the start of the season, unless, I know Jerry wants it different, but it looks like there's very minimal stadiums are going to have any fans at all. There's not going to be a lot of fans going on. How much do you think that's going to impact the play? One of my buddies was telling me that he thinks that the scoring is going to go up tremendously. He thinks defenses kind of live off the energy from the crowd, and that's how they kind of get themselves going. And he said, it's why a lot of times in scrimmages you see offenses go off compared to defenses because they don't really have that energy behind them with the crowd. Do you think we'll be able to see an impact like that? Or do you think it's going to be still fairly similar football that these guys' engines are still going to be ready to go?
Yeah, it's an interesting concept to think about. We really don't know. We've been seeing how the NBA and the MLB is doing it. For the most part, those sports look the same, but we know how big the fan experience is for football games. So many more fans are there, and the noise is a big component for the defense. So I could see how it could be a factor, but I don't really think we're going to see a spike in scoring. I think it's going to come down more to sloppy play. We haven't had any preseason game. They're throwing all these people out there. It's going to be like college football. The first couple of weeks, it's going to be a little sloppy. We really don't know who's going to be the best teams. But once they get some games under their belt, their athleticism is going to be there. And then we're really going to see who's going to stand out for the rest of the season. So I think it's going to be more trying to get these guys back into football shape. And I think they're going to feed off their own energy. The sidelines are going to create their own. And I think it's going to be more just regular football. But I'm interested to see how these NFL stadiums are going to portray fan noise. I know maybe you could press buttons from your phone or something like that. So I can't wait to see how it looks on Sunday.
Yeah, it's going to be. If there's any game to see a spike in scoring, it's going to be this first one. Texans, Chiefs, both known for their kind of shootout style of football. So it's going to be interesting to see. And you brought up a good point where there was no preseason football. Brian Flores, coach of the Dolphins, came out today and said that he doesn't expect really any of his guys to play 100% of the snaps. And he said he mentioned Devontae Parker, Preston Williams, their 2 main receivers, just because those guys don't have any games yet under their belt. How ready are they going to be? They're going to be probably tired quicker. We might see a lot of subbing and a lot of bench guys kind of get that opportunity in the first couple of weeks, which might lead to some sloppy play like you were talking about.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's going to be a big factor early on. So teams like the Chiefs who play tomorrow, they're going to have a little leg up on some other teams that are having new, fresh faces in the locker rooms and kind of rebuilding. Chiefs, they're the veterans. They are defending champions. They're pretty much the same team they were a year ago. So that's why I give them the edge tomorrow night. So it's going to be very fascinating to see how it plays out. But week one's here, and I know we were going to go over our records for each team in the divisions, but we got to keep our picks going. I know I'm back to back
I'm curious if we're gonna do that.
defending champions in our records for the NFL, so we do have to go over our week one predictions as well, and kind of go over our overall predictions. I know we talked a little bit about it on another show about a month ago, so we're gonna go over who we think is going to be. We have our preseason NFL top 10 power rankings like we normally do on Blue Collar Sports. Then we're going to go over our weekly picks, and we're going to talk about who's going to make it all the way.
Yeah, that's right. You want to kick things up right off with week one?
Let's kick it off. We got
you got me the last 3 years. Did you win all three? Or is this the third one? This is our third one.
This is this is our third one that we're doing for predictions. So I'm back-to-back champions in NFL picks. It was a blowout in the first year. Last year you were leading me most of it, but I came from behind. And this year it's going to be just the same. So I'm excited to kick it off right now. If the Texans at the Chiefs tomorrow night, like we said, Deshaun Watson against Patrick Mahomes, it's going to be a good show. Obviously this Houston team's a lot different. They traded away DeAndre Hopkins. What's it going to look like offensively? I don't really know, but I know Deshaun Watson's a bad man and he's going to be able to keep this game competitive, but I think it's going to be ring night and the Chiefs are going to just have too much energy going. I got the Chiefs winning this game week one.
Yeah, I don't see the Chiefs losing this one. I see them winning. I see them winning comfortably as well. A lot of pressure, I think, right now on Bill O'Brien. Obviously, under a lot of scrutiny this offseason for trading away DeAndre Hopkins. Curious to see what David Johnson's going to look like. He was a big accusation in that trade. He's going to have to come ready to play or Bill O'Brien's going to be in some trouble. But brutal way to start the season off with Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. Next week, they actually have the Ravens as well. So about as brutal of a stretch as you could start the season for Houston. And I don't think it gets off on the right note. We saw the ring ceremony in Kansas City the other day in front of no fans as they were all in the field. So a little bit different of a ring ceremony than normal. But they all got their rings. They're happy. And Patty's going to be ready to go. I think the Chiefs cook them early.
Absolutely. We'll go on to the next game in Atlanta where the Falcons are hosting your Seattle Seahawks. This is the Battle of the Birds. I'm liking this game. I think this one's a lot closer than most people think. I've been much higher on the Falcons the past couple of years, but they always disappoint me. So how much do I like them this year? It's going to be interesting to see. I think they're going to keep this game competitive, but I will take the Seahawks to win a very close matchup, maybe on a field goal.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a little bit closer. Got to take the Hawks, though. Dan Quinn, after this year, you're welcome back in Seattle, my man. Might be the last year we see Dan Quinn in Atlanta. But Todd Gurley and the Falcons, they said they wanted to give him at least 15 carries a game. Obviously, big jump from what we saw with LA last year. So interesting to see how that goes. But it's a tough start against a good run defense in Seattle. Their pass rush is a little iffy, which makes me nervous going up against Matt Ryan and Julio Jones. But I think Jamal Adams is going to come ready, and I think Russell Wilson's going to have this team ready to go. I like the Seahawks to win this one.
Yeah, that'll be a great game for sure. We'll go up into New York where the Buffalo Bills host the New York Jets. This is a division game already. Not as exciting. Jets obviously have had a lot of confusion this offseason. What's going on? It's been a mess for Adam Gase and the whole team, trading away Jamal Adams and everything. So Bills, I think they've had a pretty solid offseason. They look like the new team to beat in that division, and so I'm going to pick them to beat the Jets.
Yeah, don't got much to say on this one. I think the Bills, their division to lose. Obviously, Patriots, anytime you got Bill Belichick the division, gonna have a run for your money. But Jets should not be a problem. I like the Bills to get this one handily. Interesting to see how Stephon Diggs plays as the wide receiver one.
Absolutely. Two fascinating teams for me are this next one, another division game where the Bears play in Detroit against the Lions. These are two pretty even teams to me. The Lions, I know they didn't have a great year last year, but that was without Matthew Stafford most of the time. So with him healthy, I think this is going to make this team pretty competitive. And how is the Bears going to look? They named Trubisky as their starter. Will Foles be ready to go just in case? It's going to be interesting to see Foles kind of right behind him. How much pressure is Trubisky going to have on himself? So this is an interesting game. It looks like the Lions are favored to win it, but I'm going to go with the Chicago Bears to win. I think their defense is just going to be the factor in this one. Khalil Mack said he had a disappointing year last year. He's got to revamp that team. So I'm gonna go with the Bears in this one.
And our first disagreement of the year, I got Detroit in this one, and here's why. Detroit's offense is pretty loaded. Like you mentioned, Matthew Stafford, Marvin Jones, Kenny Galladay is ready to step in as a big-time receiver. DeAndre Swift they brought in this year to go along with Kerryon Johnson and just signed a vet to mentor those guys in Adrian Peterson. Offense is loaded. The concern for Detroit is their secondary. They have a very young secondary, Jeff Okudah, probably the best player already in their secondary, and he's a first-year rookie, obviously going third overall to Detroit. And so that's really their only weakness. They have a good rush defense, but their secondary is tough, which means Mitchell Trubisky is going to have to come and play and make the throws to beat them. And that's why I can't pick Chicago, because I don't trust that he can make those throws. Foles starter by week 8 this year. I got the Lions winning week 1.
That's where our first disagreement is. I'm still on Trubisky. I think he needs the keys. We'll see how much he lasts if he does, with Nick Foles right behind him. We'll go on to another division game where the Minnesota Vikings host Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers. This is another fascinating game. To me, the Vikings, they're just the same team every single year. They didn't make too many moves this offseason. I feel like they lost more than they gained. So
we got that lineman from Jacksonville. How do you say his name? Ngababa?
They did get Ngakoue from Jacksonville, but I'm going to go with Aaron Rodgers and the Packers. I think Aaron Rodgers, he's been hearing a lot of rumors with Jordan Love behind him this offseason. He's going to come ready to play with the fire that we're used to seeing in Aaron Rodgers. So I think the Packers are going to win a very close one in Minnesota.
Disagreement number 2. We'll get to our division predictions here in a second. But I do think Minnesota starts off well this year and gets this W. I think they're just going to be more ready. Green Bay's had so much noise this offseason. I think it's going to kind of show week 1. I think it's going to be a little sloppy early. Minnesota, I think, has put their heads down this offseason. And yeah, they haven't made a whole lot of changes, but I haven't really thought they needed to. I think they needed to regroup. Dalvin Cook needed to get healthy. They lost Stephon Diggs, yes. We'll see how much Justin Jefferson can make up there. But I think their defense got better. I think the Vikings win by a game-winning field goal.
Should be a good one. This one's going to be a very close game. I think Dolphins and the Patriots in New England. It's the first time without Tom Brady leading the way for the Patriots against a Fitzpatrick-led Miami Dolphins. Tua Tagovailoa is not ready to go. Looks like he has something going on with his hip, so we'll see how that plays out. But the Patriots host in Foxborough the Dolphins. To me, this is a revenge game for the Patriots. They lost last year. Week 17 against the Dolphins. They want to get this win against them. And I know I'm been critical of Cam Newton in this Patriots team, but I think they'll get the win in this one week 1.
I've seen a lot of videos that Cam seems to be happy and doing well in New England. But then again, a lot of those sources of videos are coming from Barstool Sports, who are diehard New England Patriots fans, so they're not going to show anything negative on the Patriots. But I do think it shows week 1. I mean, Brian Flores, like I said, came out and said his starters aren't going to play 100% of the snaps. And how much does Miami really even want it this year? I think this is a revenge game. I think the Patriots take care of business in this one. It's going to be up and down year for them, but I think they start on the right note and beat the Dolphins.
We'll keep going with the Philadelphia Eagles playing against the Washington football team. Yes, that is the football team hosting the Eagles. This one will be interesting. Will Ron Rivera be healthy? Hopefully so, to be able to be out there and coach this team. So I'm going with the Philadelphia Eagles. They're the better team, better roster. Hopefully Carson Wentz will be healthy to go this year. We'll talk more about that division later on. But for me, they're going to get the win against Washington.
I was tempted to call an upset pick here because the Eagles' O-line is risky. And Washington, the only good thing about them is their front 7. But they just don't have enough firepower to hang for that long. I think the Eagles squeak out a narrow win here.
We'll go where the Las Vegas Raiders. Yes, the first game for Las Vegas will be in Carolina against the Carolina Panthers, led by Matt Rule and the Teddy Bridgewater. I was very tempted to take the home team, Carolina, in this one. But It's going to be Rule's first game. Teddy Bridgewater's with the new system. It's going to be very tough to get a win. So I will take the Las Vegas Raiders to get this win, but I think it's going to be a little sloppy. In Carolina, they really do have a chance to win this game. We'll get into our records, but I think they're going to be a little bit better than most people think.
I'm actually taking Carolina, so this is our third disagreement. Teddy Two Gloves, first game is the Carolina Panthers. I think McCaffrey's going to be all over the Raiders. I hope not playing against them in fantasy this week, but I don't think this Raiders team is going to have much of an answer for Christian McCaffrey. And the Panthers brought in a bunch of guys to stop the run in the draft. That's going to have to show against Josh Jacobs. I don't know if Derek Carr is going to be the starter there much longer. I think he's pretty unhappy there right now. So I think Carolina comes ready to play, and I think they get a win here.
Very interesting. We'll keep going where the Colts go to Jacksonville against the Jaguars. Not too much to say about this one. I got the Colts. We'll talk about them later on, but they are my sleeper team this year, and I think they'll beat down on the Jaguars, who are probably the worst team in the league.
Yeah, not much to say. Phil gets a win in his debut. Jonathan Taylor, big sleeper this year. Watch for him to make a big impact early.
Cleveland Browns going to Baltimore against the Ravens. This one will be interesting. The Browns, they're having a new look this year. So this is a big year for Baker Mayfield to show out finally for his supporters, but it's going to be a tough week one against Baltimore where he's going up against a very solid defense in the reigning MVP, Lamar Jackson. I'm going up the Ravens in this one. They're going to beat down on the Browns.
Yeah, probably the worst possible matchup for Cleveland, who's wanting to put a horrible year behind them and focus on this year, and now they get the Baltimore Ravens, who a lot of people have as the best team in the NFL. Week one, I think the Ravens run all over them. Going to talk about the Ravens later on. I don't think Lamar is going to have quite as big as an impact this year as he did last year, but this roster is still unbelievably talented. I think they take care of business.
Chargers at the Bengals. Joe Burrow's first game as an NFL rookie. He plays at home hosting the Chargers. I don't know if I've saw yet, but I believe Tyrod Taylor is going to be the starter there for LA.
Yeah.
And that's why I give the Chargers the ups in this one against a very young Bengals team. Chargers just got more experience, although I was a lot higher coming into the season, but with Derwin James being injured, unfortunately, it's gonna be a very tough year for the Chargers in a very competitive division. So we'll see what happens later on, but they're gonna beat the Bengals week one.
Yeah, I like the Chargers here. It's going to be fun to watch Joe Burrow, though, get the start in this one. He's got to be happy Derwin James is out. But the weakest part of Cincinnati is that offensive line. And now your first week, you got to go up against Joey Bosa. That's tough news there. I think they're going to get to Burrow early and get to him quick. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game, but I like the Chargers to win it.
My favorite game of the weekend, we got Tom Brady and the Buccaneers going to New Orleans against Drew Brees and the Saints. This is going to be the battle I think everyone's looking at the entire season. They got to play twice, same division. I think they're very similar built teams. So I'm so interested to see how they play out. I'm going to have my predictions on who wins the division later, but this game, it's going to be indoor.
Oh, don't do it. Don't tell me you got Tampa winning this division.
Let's focus on this first game. It's going to be in New Orleans. Drew Brees gets his team back. Tom Brady, he's got a lot of new faces in Tampa now, so it's going to be hard, a week one game. So I'm taking the Saints to win this one, although it's going to be the show of the weekend. I'm so excited for this game.
Yeah, I like the Saints. And I think they're going to actually beat them pretty handily. 3.5 spread right now. I think they cover that. It's going to be tough to get those nerves out of the way for Tom. A lot of pressure on Bruce Arians. We'll see how he handles that. He hasn't had a team like this before, but when it comes down to it, there's obviously the big offensive names, the Michael Thomases, the Drew Brees, the Tom Bradys, the Rob Gronkowskis, all those big names. I think it's going to come down to defense, and I trust the Saints defense more than I trust Tampa Bay's defense, so I'm going to go with the Saints.
Yeah, that's where we might disagree later in this year. I'm a little hesitant on this Saints defense, although they did get Malcolm Jenkins. Buccaneers, they're the sleeper defense, so we'll talk about that later on. Let's move on to the Arizona Cardinals in San Francisco against the Niners. Is it going to be a Super Bowl hangover for the Niners? We've seen some teams drop off after appearance. They're playing against a very new rebuilt Cardinals team, which I'm very excited to see play. I think they're an offense that could put up obviously a lot of points, although their defense is only Isaiah Simmons and Patrick Peterson, Chandler Jones, and other than that, a bunch of other guys. So it's going to be interesting to see them go up against Jimmy G and the Niners, but I got the Niners winning this one handedly.
I got the Niners win this one, but going off that Super Bowl hangover comment, this is the Los Angeles Rams last year 2.0. I'm going to talk more about it later, but the Niners are the when teams make a Super Bowl of a team effort, it's tough to rebound after that. You have to have an incredible leader and an incredible quarterback. Rams, Jared Goff wasn't the guy last year. That's a lot of pressure on him. They fell down. Jimmy Garoppolo wasn't the guy. Who was Russell Wilson? When they did it, he kept bringing them back. You got to have that leader. You got to have that quarterback. Jimmy G's not the guy. Watch for a Super Bowl hangover. We're going to talk more about that later.
Yeah, I disagree. I think Jimmy G is the guy. I think Shanahan is the perfect coach for this team, and that's why I have the Niners with the number 1 seed in the NFC, but we'll talk about that very soon. Let's stay in that division where the LA Rams open up a brand new SoFi Stadium, absolutely stunning, in Inglewood, California. They host the Dallas Cowboys. This will be a show to see. A lot of people are pretty high in the Cowboys. We'll talk about them in a little bit. I don't know about them. It's going to be interesting to see how McCarthy does with this offense. I like their offense. They got a lot of talent, but their defense is going to be the struggle here. They're going up against the Rams, who are coming off hard knocks, so we'll see how that is. But I'm going with the LA Rams to get this win at home. They're opening up the new stadium. Cowboys is going to be a tough game, but I think the Rams, Jalen Ramsey just got paid. They're going to go out there and put on a show.
I actually agree with you here. I'm going to LA Rams to win this game by game-winning field goal. Only reason I'm picking the Rams here, I think the Cowboys are a better team, but you give Sean McVay an entire offseason to prepare for this compared to Mike McCarthy, who's in a new environment, new system, and everything. I'd take Sean McVay all day long. I think the Rams squeak by with a close win here.
I know those are both of your favorite teams, so you'll be watching that.
Cowboys are growing on me. I'm not gonna lie. I kind of like Jerry.
There you go. Jerry does not care. He's all about winning. So that will be Sunday Night Football's game. We'll move on to 2 Monday Night Football games. We got 2 of them. We got the Pittsburgh Steelers in New York against the Giants. I'm going with the Steelers in this one. They had a weird year last year with no Big Ben. They dropped to the third-string quarterback. They traded for Minka Fitzpatrick. They got a stellar defense. I love their pieces. Can Big Ben stay healthy is going to be the storyline of their season. And he's going to be ready to go week 1, and that's why I have him or the Steelers winning in New York against the Giants.
Yeah, Steelers definitely one of the more interesting teams of the year. I think their defense is top 3 in the league now. Elite defense. I wanted to see them make a push for Jadeveon Clowney, but we'll talk about Jadeveon Clowney here in just a second. But the Giants, not going to lie, a sleeper team of mine. I'll talk more about that later on, but I think the Steelers squeak this one by. If Big Ben can stay healthy, I think this team could make a legitimate playoff push.
Yeah, we'll talk about Joe Judge. I like what he's doing in New York. We'll go on to Monday Night Football, where you mentioned Jadeveon Clowney and the new Tennessee Titans are going to Denver against the Broncos, where it just snowed in Denver. What a crazy summer it is out there. It was 100 degrees, and now it's snowing. So not the place you want to be. This one's going to be interesting. You know, a lot of people were pretty high on the Broncos coming into the year. Unfortunately, Von Miller went down with his injury, so that's so hard to see. So this is a very young team. No Von Miller. Chris Harris is gone. They got some young pieces, so it's going to be interesting to see how Drew Lock goes out there with all these new receivers he has. Tennessee Titans are bringing out mostly their core, so that's why I got to go with Tennessee on winning this game. I'm not as high on them this year in that tough division that they're involved with, but they're going to go out there and get a win against the Broncos. They just got too much experience to bring back too many players. They're going to start off the year pretty well.
Yeah, this was a tough game for me to pick. I think I'm a little bit higher on Denver than you are. I really like their young core. They're one of my sleeper teams, but one of these teams is now trending up. The other one's trending down. Titans brought in Jadeveon. Broncos lost probably their best player in Von Miller. Bradley Chubb, how much do you trust him coming off that knee injury? So that defense, I think, now has a lot more question marks than I expected entering the year. That's bad news when you've got the reigning rushing champion coming into town in a cold weather environment. I think Derrick Henry runs all over him. I like the Titans to win this one.
So that's our week 1 predictions in the NFL.
Three disagreements?
Say that again?
Do we have three disagreements this week?
I believe we do have 3 disagreements to kick it off this year. So it'll be great to see. Bears and Lions, we disagreed. Packers, Vikings.
And Raiders, Panthers.
and Raiders Panthers are a free disagreement. So we will check
Jumping
back
off
with
an
you
early
guys.
lead.
We'll check back with you guys next week on Blue Car Sports and recap our predictions. We'll go over each game and we'll have our new Week 2 NFL predictions.
That's right. Gonna jump off an early lead. I can feel this. So this year's my year.
We'll see about that. But let's dive in more into these divisions. I know we talked a little bit about it while we ran through them. But before we get into our top 10 power rankings, let's briefly talk about each division, where we see these teams stacking up. And let's kick it off with the AFC. Let's start there with the East, where we got a fresh new division here with no more Tom Brady in New England. What teams are you looking at here to be the champions of the NFC or AFC East and coming out into the playoffs?
Yeah, quarterback play is going to be the biggest question mark in this division. Pretty remarkable that Josh Allen might be the best quarterback in this division. I think this is the worst division in all of football as of right now. But I do like the Bills to win it. They are the favorite. I have them winning it at 10-6. I went through did my game predictions. I have them winning at 10-6. But more interestingly, I think in this one, the storylines are going to be the coaches. Adam Gase, like you mentioned, on the hot seat in New York. I don't have him lasting all year long there. I think he gets canned near the end of the year. I have the Jets at 2-14. Dolphins, biggest thing for me, will we see Tua this year? And I want to get your take on that, if we should see Tua this year. But I have them finishing 4-12. I know you're a little bit bigger on that. I have them at 4-12. Patriots, I have a little bit making a run, but their schedule's tough late in the year. They could get off to a good start, but late in the year, they got some primetime tough games. And a lot of that defense, I know, is not playing because of COVID-19. And that's kind of the strong suit for them. They didn't have any weapons last year. They didn't bring any new weapons this year. They brought in Cam Newton, but who's their receivers that's going to help them? They got Julian Edelman there, and then N'Keal Harry. Is he ready to make that jump? We'll see who's going to come out of that backfield. So a lot of question marks on that offense. So I have them finishing at 8-8 outside of the playoffs. But Bills winning for the first time in, I believe it's 18 years since anyone else has won this division, something like that. And Bills get it done this year.
What a historic run the Patriots have done. We both agree that it's going to end this season. It's just not the same team. And I agree with you. I got the Buffalo Bills winning this division. I was high on them last year. I predicted that one. And I wasn't going to be as high on them this year, but with the addition of Stephon Diggs being that downfield receiver that Josh Allen really needs to take that next leap in his accuracy and on-field play, I think that's going to help out the Bills. And I just love Sean McDermott, the job he's been able to do and bringing in the right people. I think Buffalo does it the right way, and that's why I have them winning this division. I got them with a better record. I got them going 12-4 this year. So I
12-4.
I like their schedule. I got them winning the division. And number 2 is going to be the Miami Dolphins. I got flip-flop there with you guys. I'm going Dolphins ahead of the Patriots. I got Dolphins 7-9. I think Fitzpatrick starting off the year is the right decision. And we got to see what's going on with Tua. I don't know if this hip is related to his surgery or not, but there's no rush. Do not rush anything. You got Fitzpatrick to being there to teach him and show him the ropes. But I think eventually we will see Tua Tagovailoa come in there
mid-season.
Yes, I believe so. Mid-season, we'll see Tua, and that's why their record's jumping. I think Tua is going to be that star that we all believe he should be. So I can't wait to see him out there in Miami, South Beach. I got the Patriots 5-11. I just can't get behind this team.
Wow.
You mentioned
Bill Belichick 5-11.
You mentioned it. They have no pieces. Cam Newton's a good replacement for Tom Brady, you could say, but I don't think it's the same MVP Cam. And this defense is not going to be the same. They're going to be legit. They're going to be good with Gilmore and the boys, but a lot of them, like you said, are either not participating or they found new teams. And Kyle Van Noy, he's out with the Dolphins now. So this is not the same Patriots team last year. And honestly, they kind of squeezed into the playoffs and got shown out. So that's why I have the Patriots 5-11. And not much to say about the Jets. I think Adam Gase is gone very, very soon. 3-13 for me. I feel sad for Sam Darnold. I think he's a real quarterback, and I think he can show potential, but he just does not have the right people around him, right supporting cast, and that's not going to look good for him. Jets will be the 4th in that AFC East.
So Bills are the only team, unless I doubt the 7-9 squeeze in the playoffs. Bills are the only team they have making the playoffs.
Yes, that's correct. Dolphins I have just missing out.
Me as well.
So we'll move on to AFC West, where the defending champions lead the way tomorrow night. I'll kick it off here. I'll start this one. I got the Kansas City Chiefs winning the division, 12-4. I think they're gonna be the same team they were last year. I think they're not going to be I don't have them with the best record, but I think they're going to beat down on most guys. And the next three teams, Broncos, Raiders, and Chargers, I think are all really the same team to me. They're all pretty average, but I don't think any of them are going to take that step ahead. But the one I do have the Chargers finishing 8-8. I think they're going to be able with good coaching and star players around the field. They're going to eventually finish 8-8 pretty strong. Tyrod Taylor, I think, will start most of the year. Perhaps we see Herbert late in the year. But I think Taylor's a good quarterback. He's led the Bills to the playoffs before. So I think he could lead this Chargers team in a new direction. So I'm excited to see what Anthony Lynn does out there. I got the Broncos 7-9. I know a lot of other people are a bit higher on them, but without Von Miller, I just don't know if I could trust his defense. We really don't know who's going to be the leading back. Melvin Gordon, Philip Lindsay. It sounds like a 1-2 punch, but if you have two running backs, you don't have one. And Drew Lock, I know a lot of people are higher on him than I am. I think he's going to have a solid bounce back year in year two with the addition of new receivers, but they're missing their starting left tackle, starting right tackle. Their offensive line's a big question mark. So I got Broncos 7-9, and then I got the Raiders 5-11. A lot of people are higher on them too, but
I thought you were going to be higher on the Raiders. I did. I thought you were going to be big.
I don't see it. I think Derek Carr's a starter in this league. I don't predict Marcus Mariota comes in there, but I think Gruden is going to have a little rough go with this Raiders team. Although they do have the right people in there. They had some questionable draft picks, but they're bringing in the right dudes, right mentality. So perhaps they turn that around.
Yeah, fairly similar. I have a couple of disagreements. I'll start with the Raiders because mine. I actually thought you might have them in the playoff mix. I know you're normally pretty big on Gruden and the Raiders. I thought you were going to have them in the playoff mix. I have them at 6-10. Not really making much noise. Just a lack of weapons there. Josh Jacobs, great downhill runner. Derek Carr, good quarterback, but he doesn't have any. I mean, his best weapons probably Henry Ruggs. And I don't know if I trust a rookie yet at this point. So I have them struggling at 6-10. Then I also have the Chargers actually at 6-10. I think this year's gonna be a struggle for the Chargers. I really do. Tyrod Taylor's a good quarterback. He's a good manager, but this team needs a long ball quarterback. Justin Herbert's a great long ball quarterback. He's not ready yet, but this team's built. I mean, they got Mike Williams and Keenan Allen, two guys that are downfield threats, and Tyrod Taylor isn't that style of quarterback. So I just don't see their offense meshing very well. And defensively losing Derwin James, I think I probably had the Chargers around that 8-8 range. But losing him, I think, cost them maybe a game or two for me. Broncos, I have finishing third in this division and just missing the playoffs at 8-8. With Von Miller, it's kind of the same thing with Derwin James. They could have, I think, been a 9-7, 10-6 scrappy playoff team. I have them just missing out, finishing well, but finishing at 8-8. And then the Chiefs, same thing with you, 12-4. I have them at 12-4 and actually second in the AFC because I think what we saw last year, I think they're in the mindset where the end of the regular season doesn't matter to them. They know their goal, and their goal is to go out and win a Super Bowl, and that happens in the playoffs. That doesn't happen in the regular season. So they'll do what they need to do to get there, but they're just looking to get there. I am curious to see the race for number one and how much more of an impact they'll make now that there's 7 teams that make the playoffs. I'm curious because there's only one bye now. If the Chiefs and the Ravens go head-to-head till the end, if they're going to keep their starters in and try to get that number one bye, or are they just going to rest their players and rest up and look to play in the first round? So that is something to watch, but I got the Chiefs at 12-4.
Yeah, that's definitely going to be interesting to see who gets the number one seed, and that's going to be the team in the AFC North for me. That's the Baltimore Ravens. I got them finishing and winning that division at 14-2. I think they're the best team in football. We'll get into our power rankings. This team is stacked. We know what they did offensively last year with Lamar Jackson. I'm starting to turn around on Lamar. I think he's going to have a good off. I think he had a good off season, and he's going to show everybody that he could throw the ball too. I know I'm much bigger on their defense. I love what they've been able to do, putting pieces together. They added Calais Campbell. Earl Thomas, I don't think he's as big as a loss as some people think. I think they have a good rotation of guys that will be in there. So I'm big on Baltimore. I think they're going to take that next leap like the Chiefs did last year. They're not going to be too focused on the regular season and winning MVPs. They got bounced in the playoffs. They need to show out this year. Even though I have them getting the number 1 seed, I think they're more focused on the postseason. But that's why they go out there and get the 1 seed. So I got them winning the division. Closely behind, and I have them as a wild card. That's the Pittsburgh Steelers. I do have them going 9-7. I believe in this team. I love their defense, the pieces they've been able to put around Fitzpatrick. And I think hopefully Big Ben stays healthy. And if he does, I like the weapons he has. Juju is out there. We added Chase Claypool from the draft. I think this is a very good offensive team as well. So I think Mike Tomlin will get this team rallied. The one team that a lot of people maybe have in the playoffs, I don't, is the Cincinnati or the Cleveland Browns, 6-10. I have them. I'm just not as big on Baker Mayfield as most people. I think it's going to be another rough year. He got exposed last year, and he's going to get exposed again this year against two. He's going up against the Ravens and the Steelers, two phenomenal defenses. He's going to have a rough go. And then I got the Bengals.
Let me ask you, if Sam Darnold, if they had taken Sam Darnold and they have the same team, does Cleveland make the playoffs for you?
Yes, they do, because Sam knows how to lead this team. And, you know, the Browns are super talented. You know, we all know about their offensive weapons. They got some pieces on defense as well. I just don't know if Baker's the guy.
Yeah, that's fair. What do you have the Bengals at?
I got them 2-14, not making too much noise. It's going to be a rough go for Joe Burrow. He's going up, you know, against three really good defenses in that division. Zach Taylor, they just need a lot more than what they have right now. But no, I'm not going to get too scared about him. He's going to be better than Baker Mayfield.
Almost identical in this division. I got Ravens at 14-2 for all the reasons you said. Earl Thomas, interesting situation there. But, you know, it sounded like he's both the way he left Seattle and Baltimore. Sounds like this guy. I'm a huge Earl Thomas guy. I love Texas football. Big Earl Thomas fan. Is one of my favorite players. But it sounds like this guy could kind of cause a little bit of a headache inside the locker room. Did the same thing in Seattle. Now in Baltimore, so he's gone. That could actually be beneficial for them because this is a very no-nonsense type of organization. I have them at 14-2, finishing first. Steelers I have as a wild card as well at 10-6. I think the Steelers are going to impress people. It's all going to come down to, though, can Big Ben stay healthy? That's going to be the main thing. They didn't go out and get a backup quarterback, so they're really banking on Big Ben. We saw what happened last year to the Steelers when he went out. So if he could stay healthy, this team should be competitive all year long. Browns, I have a little bit better than you, but I have them at 7-9, just missing the playoffs. I think if they're in another division, they can have. I think it will be better this year and more competitive. But it's a tough division, like you said, and I don't see them really beating Pittsburgh twice. They maybe get one from Pittsburgh. I don't have them beating Baltimore, so that's a lot of losses already. Cincinnati, I got a little better than you. I got 3-13. Joe Burrow, expect struggles early. Shouldn't be a knock on him though. This team just isn't ready to compete yet. He should just go out there and try to figure out the style of play, figure out the speed, figure out the game. I know he's an ultimate competitor, so he's going to want to win early, but it's going to be tough. But I do like Joe Burrow moving forward, but not this year. They go 3-13. Colin Kaepernick picked Baltimore to go 16-0. Any shot of that happening?
Definitely there's a shot, but looking at their schedule, it's a little tough. They got to play the Chiefs, so they play good teams as well. And we both agree. I don't think they're focused on the regular season. They know they need to get to the playoffs and win, get to the Super Bowl. So I don't think that's where their mind is set. I think Harbaugh will get them on the right track. And but we all believe they're going to have a very good record, and most of us think they're going to have the best record.
Going to, I think, the most exciting race in the AFC, at least, the AFC South. I went there and did these picks today, and let me tell you, this came down to the final game with three teams. I got three teams in this division making the playoffs.
Wow.
Now, kicking off with my division winner, and that is the Indianapolis Colts. I got the Colts at 11-5. I think this team's got a lot of weapons, a lot of rookie sleepers who Jonathan Taylor with Michael Pittman Jr. I think they're going to become quite the duo there. Paris Campbell, I think, is a very underrated receiver as well. And then you got the vet, T.Y. Hilton, and a vet in Marlon Mack. This team is just built to win. And a great, I know you're a huge fan of the organization, the way they run things. If Phillip buys in and Phil comes ready to play, this team's going to be dangerous. So I got them finishing 11-5, the third seed in the AFC. Titans finished just a game back at 10-6, getting that second wild card spot behind Pittsburgh. I think Tennessee's going to be good this year. I don't expect them to make the playoff push that they did last year, but I think they're going to be good. I love ditching Jadeveon Clowney. As much as it hurts for Seattle to lose him, I think he's a perfect fit in Tennessee. The one knock on them was they didn't have a pass rush. Patty had too much time to throw against them last year, and that's why the Chiefs were able to come back and win that AFC Championship game. So they went and addressed that. I just don't know if I trust Tannehill, so that's why I have them at 10-6. Texans, I have a 9-7, making that final wild card spot to play the Chiefs round one. Don't really like this roster very much. Their defense got weak. J.J. Watt's always battling injury. Lost obviously DeAndre Hopkins, but Deshaun Watson's a winner. I mean, there's the teams I'm looking at to compete for that final playoff spot in the Eastern Conference. I'm looking at the Browns, the Broncos, the Chargers. None of those teams have a guy that I can say that guy's a winner. He's gonna go get the job done. Houston has that in Deshaun Watson, so I think they squeak in at 9-7. And the Jaguars, hang on to Trevor Lawrence. I got them at 0-16. I got nothing else to say. They are in an all-out tank. This roster is probably one of the worst rosters I've ever seen. But this team made the AFC Championship game 3 years ago. That's pretty remarkable. But Jaguars are a mess. I have them at 0-16.
Yeah, you couldn't have said it better. This is the division to watch. It's going to come down to the last few games. It's going to be the wire. Obviously, we don't need to talk about the Jaguars. I got them winning one game at least, 1-15, but they're all in. Tank for Trevor. Lawrence is going to be their savior, hopefully. But let's get into it with the Texans, Titans, and Colts. These are three phenomenal teams, and I think very evenly matchups together. I agree with you. I do have the Indianapolis Colts winning that division. I just love the build of this team. Their offensive line is phenomenal. I think maybe the best in the league. And that running game is going to get going. You know, they added Phillip Rivers, but I think they need to rely on that running game to really get Phillip going. He doesn't need to go out there and hit these home runs like he was trying with the Chargers. He could really just kind of take it back a step and not be so creative and dangerous with the ball. They're going to rely on the run game. JT, Marlon Mack are phenomenal running backs, so I'm super excited to see them. And that's just going to open up the air game for Phillip. And they got really good receivers, I believe. And then their defense is very underrated. I think Darius Leonard is going to take another leap where he could be in contention for Defensive Player of the Year. So I'm excited about that. This Colts team is built to win right now. Frank Reich's going to be my NFL head coach of the year if he's going to do a phenomenal job this year. I'm excited about them. But I have them winning division at 11-5. But I also have the Texans at 11-5. But I got the Colts with the tiebreaker with the win there. I guess I'm a little bigger on the Texans than you are, just because of that bad man Deshaun Watson. He's going to be my preseason MVP pick. Deshaun Watson just got paid, and he's going to go out there and do everything himself. Bill O'Brien's made some questionable moves this offseason. He's put a lot of pressure on Deshaun, but it looks like to me Deshaun is locked into this team, and he's committed, and he's going to go out there.
Were you surprised to see him sign that extension?
Well, when you put that much money in front of someone, it's hard to decline that because you really never know. Deshaun's had his injuries before. I would have taken it, but if we'll see. Obviously, they've made some questionable moves. I would have had a pretty big, honest conversation with Bill O'Brien and the direction they're headed. I want to have some more support with the front office, but he believes he does, and that's why I have the Texans 11-5, second in the division. I do have them sneaking in as a wild card, and so do the Tennessee Titans. I have them at 10-6. It's going to be the same team.
So we both have all three of them in the playoffs.
That's right.
We have the same playoffs.
Yes, we do. The Titans to me are going to be the same team last year. Everything's going to be on that running game with Derrick Henry, but there's really so much you could do with them. I don't think Tannehill can take over the games. We saw that last year. They're going to sneak in as a wild card, but I don't think they have the run they did last postseason.
Yeah, so very similar AFC landscape for both of us. NFC, I think, is going to be a little bit different. I think we're going to have a little more arguments in the NFC.
Yeah, I believe we have all same 7 teams in the AFC playoffs, I believe. So that's pretty crazy to see. NFC, like you said, it's going to be a little different. So we'll kick it off in the NFC East. Seth, who you got winning this division? This one's going to be crazy.
NFC East, I don't think you're going to agree with me on this one, but you should be happy because it's your team. I got your boys winning this division. I got the Cowboys at 10-6. McCarthy, it was a questionable hire to me, but this team's so loaded. I mean, you got Dak coming back. He's sort of happy finally. Zeke's ready to go. And then I think you got the best wide receiver core in all of football, led by Amari Cooper. We got rookie CeeDee Lamb. Michael Gallup, I think, is going to be a great player. And our very own Boise State Cedric Wilson, I guess, made quite an impact at camp. and he's going to kind of be that little fourth slot guy as well. The secondary in this defense is very, very scary. A lot of question marks on their defense. They actually just let go of HaHa Clinton-Dix as well, who's kind of one of their big offseason signings. So that makes me nervous. But looking at the quarterbacks they play week in, week out within their division, Carson Wentz, don't know if he's going to stay healthy. I'll get to that in a sec. Danny Dimes, I don't know if I trust him yet. Dwayne Haskins, both second-year quarterbacks. Don't know if I trust those guys yet. So I think they'll be able to squeak by at 10-6 and win this division. I got the Giants at 8-8, finishing second in this division. I think the Giants are a sleeper team. I think this team has a lot of weapons. I like their receiving core, led by Sterling Shepard. Evan Ingram's, I think, the best receiving tight end we might have in football right now, outside of Travis Kelce. But I think he's going to make a big step in this year. And, of course, Saquon Barkley. I think this offense is going to make some noise in this division. Eagles, I have Carson Wentz. I don't think he's going to last the year. I think he's going to get hurt, and I don't trust Jalen Hurts to be an NFL quarterback. I got the Eagles at about 6-10, 7-9 range, missing the playoffs this year, and then addressing a lot of questions in the offseason. The Washington Football Club, I have it 2-14. Down year for them. I think they'll be more competitive than people think. I think they'll stay with games. I like the Ron Rivera hire. His front seven's elite, but just not enough weapons on offense. It's going to be a long year for them. I think they could be looking at a quarterback next year, whether it's Justin Fields, Trey Lance. Obviously, they'd hope for Trevor Lawrence, but I think Jacksonville's going to nab him. So I have them at 2-14.
Zeph, this is a big disagreement here. Definitely a different direction here in the NFC East. My division winners will be the Philadelphia Eagles. I am wearing green right now. I believe in Carson Wentz. I know I'm a lot higher on him than you are. He's been one of my blue-collar ballers for many weeks on this show. I had the Eagles winning the division at 11-5. I don't predict injuries, so got to go on with Carson Wentz. And I think one of their big issues last year was the receiving core, and they were able to make a lot of additions. I think maybe too much during the draft, but they revamped. I think this team will be competitive, and I have them winning the division. Close by, I have the same record for the Cowboys at 10-6. However, that's good enough to get into as a wild card. I like their offense a lot. They got maybe they got the best offensive pieces, personnel. A lot of people are thinking this is the year for Dak Prescott, but like you said, McCarthy's hiring didn't really overwhelm me. I think it's a fine hire, but I don't know if he really adds too much value to this team. Their big question mark is their defense. Most namely is their secondary. It's going to be a little scary, like you said. So we'll see how this Cowboys defense. They're going to put up a ton of points, but they're also going to give up a lot of points. So there will be an interesting team to watch. I got the Giants at 5-11, not as good as you, but I do like the Joe Judge hire. I think he's really, I don't know if you watched him sliding on the grass with his team. He's really, he trusts his players. The players trust him. It looks like it's a good group. They're building right out there in New York. So I like what the Giants are doing. I just think they need some more pieces. And then the Washington football team, I got them 1-15, just like the Jaguars. I like Ron Rivera, but how can he stay healthy, hopefully, and be out there on the field with them? Dwayne Haskins, I don't know if I really trust him too much. And like you said, they got a lot of pieces they need on offense, so they'll be in contention for that number one pick.
So I'm curious because you got two teams within this division making the playoffs. Right now I only got one, so there's got to be somewhere. I'm guessing it's a team up north that we're going to disagree on, and we'll move there right now, heading to the NFC North. I'll kick things off. Bears. Last year we'll see Mitchell Trubisky as a starter. Their defense, I think, is good enough to keep them around games, but I got them finishing at 5-11. Just not enough talent on this team to surround Mitchell Trubisky and Khalil Mack. I think it's going to be a long year for them. Packers, I know I had them losing around week 1. But I think Aaron Rodgers can come back angry this year. I think if he starts, especially if they start bad, people are really going to start questioning him. He's not going to like that. I think he's going to want to go and shove it down Green Bay's throat, prove that he's the man. And I think they go to a hot end and go 12-4 to win this division. Vikings, I have 11-5, and squeaking in is that last wild card spot for me. This roster, I think, is good enough to do what they do every year. Get into the playoffs, maybe win a game if they play the Saints, and that's about it. I think it's going to be a very similar year to the Vikings that we've seen in the past. Just not a lot of changes here. I do think their defense got a little bit better, but they did lose Stephon Diggs. And Adam Thielen, don't know if I could trust him as a number one receiver. Lions, I think, are better at 7-9 this year. I think the Lions would take a jump up. Matthew Stafford's in a contract year. He's older. He's going to really have to have a good year to prove that this should still be his team moving forward. So I think the Lions are going to be competitive, but it's a tough division. So I have them finishing at 7-9.
Yeah, this is a very tough division, the NFC North. I got the Packers winning it as well. I got them at 11-5. I think Aaron Rodgers, I was critical of him last year, but I really think he's going to have that fire, like you said, that we're used to seeing in Rodgers. Everyone's talked about him and moving on after they went out there and picked Jordan Love. So I think he's going to go out there and show everybody wrong. They're going to win the division at 11-5. The team I do have missing out on the playoffs that you do have in is the Minnesota Vikings. I have them finishing 9-7, which is not good enough to get in because the NFC is stacked. Vikings, they just didn't make as many moves as I had hoped to get better. I think Kirk Cousins is a nice quarterback, but he's more average than star to me. I don't think they have the pieces to make it this year. I have them just missing out. The Bears, I got third in that division at 5-11. I think it's going to be up and down the year for Mitchell Trubisky and this Matt Nagy's team. I like Nagy a lot, but I think they just made some questionable moves. I believe they have like 7 tight ends on this roster. It just doesn't make any sense. They need better receivers. It's all about their defense and how much Khalil Mack can really carry them. So it'll be cool to see if Nick Foles gets in there for the Bears and how much difference he can make. And then I got the Lions. I'm not as big on them as you are. 4-12 for me. I think Matt Patricia sadly will be on the way out after this year. Hopefully Stafford stays healthy and they're going to be competitive for most games. But I think they're also a young team and they're going to go into a different direction next year.
Yeah, so a couple disagreements there. Obviously, we know our playoff disagreements moving out of that one. And I'm a little bit more bigger on the Lions. I think I'm just kind of bigger on this division as a whole more than you are. Looks like compared to this one. Now we go down to the NFC. Let's do the NFC South. This division got a whole lot more interesting this year, bringing in a lot of former stars. Tom Brady, obviously the headliner, but Todd Gurley joins the Falcons. Teddy Bridgewater stays in the division but moves to start for the Carolina Panthers. Going to be a very, very interesting division this year. But I got to kick out my winner, the New Orleans Saints. I think this is their last year to prove that they are a Super Bowl team. I've picked them to get to the Super Bowl every year for the last, I don't know how long, last 2 or 3 years, and they run into Minnesota every single time, and they just can't seem to fight their way around it. Then, of course, the Rams, we know what happened there. But I got them finishing first in the NFC this year at 14-2, getting that bye. I think Breeze is going to come out hot. This team's just got too many weapons with Kamara, obviously Michael Thomas. I think they bring in Emmanuel Sanders as well. Keep the utility guy and Taysom Hill, and this defense I think is going to be legit. And so I think this team finishes 14-2. Buccaneers squeak into a wild card spot at 11-5 for me. I don't think they're going to be as good as people think. They do have a lot of weapons. I'm most curious to see what Gronk does. Is Gronk going to get the same reps he did in New England? I think O.J. Howard could be more of a complementary piece for Tom Brady moving forward. I think that's going to be fun to watch. But it's a tough division. I got them at 11-5, but getting into the playoffs. Falcons, I have just missing playoffs at 9-7. I think they will be better. And as they enter the offseason, same question. Should they retain Dan Quinn? Should they bring him back? I hope they do. I love Dan Quinn. But I think they get at 9-7, just too many question marks in this defense. And that's scary when you're playing Christian McCaffrey, Drew Brees, Tom Brady 6 times during the year. So I have them dropping a good amount of those. Panthers, I got 4-12. I think I had them winning week 1, but just like you said, Matt Rule's first year, young defense, tough division. Same thing with Atlanta. I don't know if I trust their defense. So I have them at 4-12.
Yeah, this is going to be one of the best, most exciting divisions in football. Everyone's looking at the Buccaneers, and that's who I have winning this division. Yes, I do. 12-4. Tampa Tom is going to come down there and lead this team. I like they've been able to put around with Bruce Arians. Everyone's talking about their offense, which I like, but it's their defense. They went on a great run at the end of the year last season, and I think they're going to be able to carry that into this season. So I'm super excited to see what they're able to do. Like I said, O.J. Howard, I think he's going to be a big target for Tom. Gronk, I think, will be more of that blocking tight end. Maybe we'll see him in the red zone more. So I'm excited to see what Tampa's going to be fantastic on offense, but no one's looking at their defense. I think they're going to be solid there as well. So that's why I have them winning the division 12-4. Close by, I got the Saints finishing 11-5, getting into as a wild card in the playoff. Saints,
a little bit of a down year for them.
A little bit of a down year. I think it's going to be that time. Drew Brees kind of didn't have the same it factor that he usually does at the end of last season. So they really need a lot out of him to get back to where they were the past couple of years. It's going to take a lot out of them with a very tough division. But the Saints, they did added some good players, so they're going to be competitive. So they have a shot right there as well. But I have them at 11-5, and then I got the Falcons 7-9 for them. Like you said, I think they're in the same conversation as last year. Should we contain Dan Quinn or not? Hopefully they do. I have them finishing 7-9, one of the more average teams, but they're in a tough division. So I could have them in the playoffs, but being in that division is tough. Then the Panthers, I'm a little bit higher on them. I got them 6-10. I think Teddy Bridgewater is going to be a very nice quarterback for Matt Rule in that offense, with Christian McCaffrey being the star that he is. And then, like you said, they have a young defense, but I think later in the year, they're really going to get going, and they're going to have some stars in the making. So I like what Carolina's doing. They're just too young right now.
Interesting. So, yeah, a little bit of disagreement there. Don't like that you got Tampa winning the division there. I don't think there's any way the Saints lose 5 games this year, but, we live for disagreements. That's why we're here. Speaking of disagreements, we move to the NFC West, a division we have fought over for the entirety of our show, and I'm sure nothing will change this year. I'll kick us off. Cardinals, I got a 4-12 this year. I know you like them a little bit more than I do, but it's a tough division. I still think the Rams, I do have them having a little bit of a bounce back year, but not much. But it's a tough division. You're playing the Seahawks, the Niners, the Rams, and then going out and playing the rest of the teams in the NFC. It's just really no easy week. Kyler Murray is good. I'm not as big on him as other people are. I don't know if I trust him yet. I'm curious to see how he works with DeAndre Hopkins. I love their receiver core with Hop, Fitz, and Christian Kirk. I think it's one of the best receiving cores in all of football. Kenyon Drake's a good change of pace back as well. But this team, I think they have injury problems and they're young. Cliff Kingsbury, I like him. I don't know about him yet, so I'm not really ready to put them ahead of anybody. Rams, I got an 8-8 and just missing the playoffs. They're that fringe team that contends every week, but just can't seem. I don't think they're talented enough. They lost a lot of pieces. They gave Jalen Ramsey a big deal, but that's kind of their team. They got 4 or 5 guys with these massive contracts, and then the rest of the guys are kind of fill-ins. And so I think it's going to create some holes. Jalen Ramsey, we've known, can stir things up in the locker room. I don't know if LA is going to be very competitive. I got them at 8-8. 49ers, I got finishing at 10-6. Getting into the playoffs as that last wild card spot. But I do think they struggle. I think it's a Super Bowl hangover for them. Same thing we saw with the Rams last year. I think people are going to be able to figure them out. It's a tough division and a tough NFC. So I really do think they struggle out of the gates. And then I think the Seahawks get that second seed and win this division at 13-3. You got arguably the best offensive player in the league in Russell Wilson, and now arguably the best defensive player in the league with Jamal Adams. This team's got weapons with a long-tenured veteran coach in Pete Carroll. Love the energy I'm seeing from Seattle. Their front seven's a bit of an issue, but I think some of those rookies, I think Jordan Brooks or Darrell Lewis are both going to have make contributions early. And I think they're going to stay competitive, and I have them at 13-3 win the division.
So you're a little bit higher on the NFC North, and I'm a little bit higher on the NFC West. My division winners are going to be the San Francisco 49ers. I think they bounced back from last year. No Super Bowl hangover. They're all in this year. They know what it takes to get there. I have them finishing 12-4 and getting the best record in the NFC. They'll get the number 1 seed in the bye.
Wow, they're going over 12 wins in the NFC.
I just think they got they're just too talented not to repeat as NFC champions. And I like the makeup of this team. And I think they have the right characters in their locker room to control the noise in the outside. And so I have them with a bounce back year. Right after them, I got the Seahawks 11-5. It's going to be a battle like it was last year. Seahawks will get into the playoffs wild card. Like you said, Russell Wilson will be MVP contention again. Jamal Adams, we'll see what he's able to do on that defense. Seahawks pass rush scares me. Not too much going on there. So it's going to be the Russell Wilson show as always, but that was good enough last year. So we'll see how they do this year with Pete Carroll. And then I got the Rams 10-6 in the third in this division, which is actually going to be the same as the Cowboys. So that's going to be the tiebreaker for that last playoff spot, which I guess I did take the Rams to win the first game. So maybe it's the Rams getting in. Maybe it's the Cowboys as the last 7 seed, but I have the Rams at 10-6. I'm higher on them than you are. I think they got the talent to get back into that competitive team. They were competitive last year, even with very shaky season. They won 9 games, which is not a slouch. And they got Todd Gurley out of there. They added some new pieces. They do have a new DC, no more Wade Phillips. So defensively, I'm a little worried. But offense, I think we're going to get back to that Sean McVay creative offense that we're used to seeing. And then fourth, very competitive Arizona Cardinals at 8-8. I have them.
Wow, no losing records in this division.
No losing, which I guess you could say is the best division, in my opinion. Arizona Cardinals will be a fun team to watch. Great offensive team. I'm big on Kyler Murray. He's going to have a good year with those receivers and weapons. Defensively, they just don't have enough yet. They got some nice pieces, but they kind of need to fill more out. So the Cardinals will finish 8-8, and NFC West is going to be a very exciting show down late in the year.
So did you have the Rams or the Cowboys?
Well, I guess at first I was going to have Cowboys, but I picked the Rams week 1, and so that, I guess, would be the tiebreaker.
Gotcha. So you got the Rams, and so not much different, but pretty. I got the Saints as my 1 seed, Seahawks is my 2, Packers is my 3, Cowboys is my 4th, and then 5th I had the Vikings, 6th the Buccaneers, and 7th the 49ers, which looks a little bit different than yours.
Right, I would go 49ers with the 1 seed, Bucks at the 2, Packers with the 3, Eagles with the 4th seed. Those are your division winners. Then wild card to go Saints, Seahawks, and the Rams.
So yeah, a little bit of a different look. I love it though. There's always disagreements here. I was like, we have 3 disagreements in just our week 1 picks alone. But those are our early season predictions for how we see the divisions playing out. I just can't wait to see football again. I don't care if there's fans there. I don't care. I just want to see football, and we are getting it tomorrow. Last thing we do here to wrap up Blue Collar Sports, of course, our power rankings entering the year. We change them up all year long. Trev, I'll let you kick us off.
Yeah, we'll change these week to week after we see it. We just went down our records, but now we give you our top 10 teams going into week 1 of the NFL season. We start off with number 10 for me. It's going to be the Buffalo Bills. They bring back a lot of their core key players. They added Stephon Diggs. Hopefully this offense has a little bit more firepower, and if they do, it's going to be a good, scary team late in the postseason. I think the Bills, talent-wise, are good enough to be at number 10.
10 for me is the Tennessee Titans. I think they're built very similar to the Buffalo Bills. They may not have been there. I don't have the Bills in mind. They were probably right there until Tennessee brought in Jadeveon Clowney. They fixed their weakness. The secondary is still a little iffy, but I think this team is built to last, and I have them at number 10.
No Tennessee Titans for me. I got the division winners, Indianapolis Colts, at number 9. I think with the addition of Phillip Rivers is going to take this team to a new height. I love their offensive line, best in the league. The weapons at receiver and running back is going to be a scary sight, and their defense is going to take that next level. Colts to me are the number 19.
Number 9 for me, I'm guessing they're not in yours, the Minnesota Vikings. Talked about this team. I think is, like I always say, every year I feel like with this team, they're just one of the more dependent teams because they're one of the most well put together teams. They don't really have a weakness. Yeah, they don't really excel in anything. But there's really no weakness on this team. Good secondary led by Harrison Smith. Now you bring in, I still can't say his last name, the kid from Jacksonville, to fill in on that defensive side of the ball. Kirk Cousins, like I said, he's an average quarterback. He's not going to necessarily go win you games, but hopefully they have enough talent. Dalvin Cook, I'm really looking for him to take a step up this year and kind of enter that elite running back category. But I got them at number 9.
Yeah, no Vikings for me. Not as big on them as you are. Number 8 for me is the Seattle Seahawks. I think they're going to be a solid team. Maybe a little lower than most people, but I just think they have too much on Russell Wilson. How much can he hold on to that? We'll see how the defense shakes up with the addition of Jamal Adams, but it's going to be a long season for the Seattle team. I got them at number 8.
Number 8 for me, I don't think you're going to like this one, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I don't trust the defense as much as you do. I think they can be good, but I just don't trust them in such a stacked division. That's what makes me nervous. So I got them at number 8. Can't wait though to watch them play, especially kick things off against New Orleans, what I've talked about in a little bit. But going to be a great team to watch. Tom Brady though, yes, his name is still Tom Brady, but is he the same Tom that we've seen before? It'll be fun to see with all the new weapons and everything. I think he has lost a little bit of it, and so I'm curious to see how that plays out. But I got them at number 8 to start the year. Could certainly go up though if they prove me wrong.
Absolutely. Number 7 for me is the Green Bay Packers. They made it to the NFC Championship a year ago. I have them kind of falling back a little bit, but they're still going to be a solid team. I think Aaron Rodgers, we talked about, is going to have a little bit of fire under his belt. So this Packers team will be a good matchup. They'll be the 7th team for me. They'll get into the playoffs. I have them winning the division.
I'll stay on that note with my number 7, the Green Bay Packers, just because I think Aaron Rodgers is going to be ticked this year. He's going to play angry, and it's going to show. So I got him getting the Packers number 7 overall. I think it's going to be the same story, though. I think they're going to struggle in the playoffs once they get down to a team that could kind of geared towards them, a team that can really prepare for them. I think they will have trouble with. But I do think they have a good regular season, and they got mad Aaron Rodgers. Devontae Adams look for him to have a huge year this year. I got the Packers at 7.
Number 6 for me is probably a team you don't have. That's the Philadelphia Eagles. I have them winning the division. I believe in Carson Wentz. He's going to have a bounce back year. He has his weapons now at receiver. I think this is a team not a lot of people are looking at, but they're going to be a solid team, a hard team to beat during the season, and I got them at number 6.
I think that's going to be biggest disagreement of our show, the Philadelphia Eagles. Nice to see them, or the San Francisco 49ers. 6 for me, kind of surprising. Indianapolis Colts. I love this roster. I think it's a lot like the Vikings, where they don't really have a weakness. They have a good quarterback, great run game, perhaps the best offensive line in the league, but I think their defense is better than Minnesota's, which is why I put them in number 6. I think they win this division. I mean, they could make some noise in the playoffs. It's going to be fun to watch. I think the Colts take a significant jump this year and get to number 6 for me.
I like that pick. Number 5 for me is going to be the New Orleans Saints. You know, what Saints team are we going to see? Each year they kind of have the same style and makeup, but it just gets a year older now, and how much they're going to be in a tough division again. So the Saints, to me, are going to be the number 5 team.
Big disagreement there, and I'll go with my number 5, which you'll probably disagree with, the San Francisco 49ers. This is to start the year. I actually think they drop down quite a bit on my list and almost fall out because I think they will be decent at the start, but I think once they face adversity, I don't know if they have the guys in that locker room to support adversity. I love George Kittle, but the rest of that roster, I'm nervous about. If they hit a roadblock, how are they going to approach it? And so I have them probably falling down, but to start the year, they came off a huge season, went to the Super Bowl, were a quarter away from winning it, so I got to put them in my top 5, but I put them at number 5.
Number 4 for me is a team you had just a little bit ago, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I'm higher on them than you are. I believe Tom Brady, he's found a new groove. He's going to have a new energy to him, a new style. He's got a bunch of weapons that he was missing in New England. I like the makeup of this Buccaneers team, and I know a lot of people are putting high expectations on him, but that's what Tom Brady is. He's got to deliver, and I think Tampa is going to be one of the best shows in football. So I got Tampa Bay at number 4.
Tampa, number 4. 4 for me is the Seattle Seahawks. Big time names here now. Obviously, it was Jamal Adams, Bobby Wagner, paired on with, I think, maybe the most impactful player in all of football, and Russell Wilson. Chris Carson's healthy, reportedly. They bring in Carlos Hyde. We'll see what happens there. And then they got a great receiving core with DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett, bringing in a vet and Greg Olsen, and Josh Gordon's back on the roster. So we'll see what they could do with that. But I think Seattle's going to have a big year. I have them at number 4.
I had Seattle at number 8. You had them at 4. At number 3 for me is going to be the San Francisco 49ers. You had them at number 5. I'm just much bigger on them than you are. I think they're going to not have as big of a setback from the Super Bowl last year. I do believe in the chemistry and the players they have in that locker room. I think they'll be able to rally if they hit some roadblocks. They'll be able to respond. I got the Niners number 3.
Yeah, big disagreement. I got them at 5 to start. Look for them to fall out, though. No, number 3 for me is the Baltimore Ravens, actually. Baltimore I put down at number 3. I think this team's built for the regular season. I just have yet to see a playoff push for them, and I kind of need to see that to kind of put them above the 2 teams that I have above them. But coming to the year with, I think, perhaps the most talented roster. I think them and New Orleans have the most talented rosters. But I need to see another year from Lamar before I put too much on him. We've seen a lot of these stories where these quarterbacks, especially quarterbacks of his style, that run a lot, how durable and how long can they last. So I'm curious to see that. I do think Lamar, I love his attitude. I love the way he approaches the game, but I just need to see it one more year to really put them in that top tier hunt. I got them at number 3.
Number 2 for me is the defending champions, Kansas City Chiefs. I was going to put them number 1, but I do have them at number 2 here. I think they're going to be Obviously, they should be the Super Bowl favorites. They bring back most of their key players. You got the best player in football, Patrick Mahomes. Chiefs will be the Chiefs. They're going to be fantastic. They're going to be exciting. They're going to get into the playoffs. What can they do against Baltimore? We'll see. But Kansas City, I'm excited to see how they play and respond after a great Super Bowl year last year.
Kansas City, I'll get to them in a sec. Number 2 for me is the New Orleans Saints. Another big disagreement for us. I think this is, with the Ravens, probably the most talented roster. And the reason I put them in front of Baltimore is because I trust Drew Brees more and I trust Lamar Jackson as of right now. But this is the Saints' year. They've got to come hungry. They've had some disappointing endings to their seasons the last 3 years. They got to come hungry. And this has got to be their year. I think it might be Drew's last year of competitive football. I think if the Saints don't make it this year, we could see them sort of enter an interesting phase now on who's going to be their next quarterback, who's going to be the next guy there. Kamara, I know, is already kind of unhappy to be in New Orleans. So there's going to be a lot of question marks, but they got to put them all aside and come out this year, and I think they do. I got them to start the season at number 2.
Yeah, the Saints will be one of our biggest disagreements this season. Number 1 team for me is going to be the Baltimore Ravens. I think they have the best roster in the NFL, the best players and personnel. Lamar Jackson, I'm finally getting around on. I think he showed out last year winning that MVP. And I think this year he's kind of stayed quiet. He's been working on his arm. I think hopefully this offense will be as dangerous as they were last year. But I'm huge on their defense. I love the pieces they got on the front 7 especially. They're going to be able to get after the quarterback. However, we'll see if the Madden curse is real on Lamar. He was on the cover, so we'll see what happens with him in this Ravens.
I got number 1. I got the Kansas City Chiefs, defending Super Bowl champions, best player in football. He got paid. He got engaged. He's happy. He's ready to go. Look for Patty to have another big year. Andy Reid, one of my favorite coaches in all of sports, just a great guy. Has his locker room completely. They love playing for him. I think this defense is going to be better than they were last year. I think they're going to be ready to go. And now you give Patty Mahomes, Clyde Edwards-Helaire to work with. I think Cole Hardman has a big year. Obviously, Tyreek Hill's their big guy. Travis Kelce in the red zone. This team's just built for success. They are built around their best player, which happens to be the best player in all of football. It's a recipe to last for a long time. Look for them to make another Super Bowl run this year. If they start off is number 1 for me.
Yes, the Kansas City Chiefs should be the favorite this year. Patrick Mahomes, he's one of the few people who's having a pretty good 2020 year, winning the Super Bowl, getting engaged, getting a Super Bowl ring. So he's loving life. $500 million. That's not too bad.
That's not bad.
So that's our preseason power rankings in the NFL heading into week 1, our NFL top 10. Obviously, as you watched on Blue Collar Sports, they're going to change every single week after these guys play each other. And we'll see at the end of the year how similar our top 10 teams going into the year will be at the end of this season.
That's right. Changes every week. The NFL season's upon us. It's a weird year. Obviously, it's weird we're not in studio, but we're still making it happen. If the NFL can make it happen, we can make it happen. Let's make this a weekly thing.
Absolutely. Thanks for watching Blue Collar Sports. It's been a great show today. Going over the NFL, recapping, overcapping what they're going to go down this week 1. So make sure to watch tomorrow night, on Thursday, on Sunday, 2 games, Monday Night Football. And you also got NBA, NHL, MLB. You got so many sports going on right now. It's for being 2020, it's a pretty good time of the year.
Yeah, no, it's for such a disastrous year. We're entering a good period. We got lots of sports to watch, like you just mentioned. The NFL football is back. Sort of college football going on, but to be honest with you, I'm really not paying attention much to college football this year. I'm all in on this NFL season, though, and it kicks off tomorrow. You heard all our predictions for the year, for everything, and you heard our power rankings. We got more coming for you next week.
Absolutely. Follow us on Twitter at Blue Collar SR. You're watching us on YouTube, Blue Collar Sports. Reach out to us any way you want to. We'll be back. Just follow us. We'll get to you. Thanks, Seth. Stay safe. Stay safe, everybody. Thanks for watching.
Stay safe.